could I ask you about your kind of own prayer life, and how do you keep your fire burning in prayer? Is it always easy? You know, as someone who kind of watching from the outside, I just kind of get the impression that you don't feel like praying, that you can pray every moment of every day. You're always in prayer. That's all you do. It's just the easiest thing in the world. But I would imagine that is not always the case.
Yeah.
So how do you keep that? How do you keep that fire? How do you keep that motivation for prayer? What do you do when you don't feel like praying? Do you kind of press in anyway, or do you wait for that spirit of prayer to come?
Absolutely. Absolutely.
That.
All the above, all the above. See, the fact that I talk about prayer, the fact that I'm passionate about seeking God and prayer and teaching on prayer doesn't mean I always want to pray, because the flesh is often at war with the things of the spirit. The things that are often of most benefit to us spiritually are sometimes the things that our flesh doesn't want to do. The things that are often most benefit to us in our spiritual development are often the things that you find that your flesh resists the most. And so in this time, I believe God is wanting us to develop such an awareness of spiritual things that when our flesh is resisting, we're still saying yes. So practically, you know, when I was single, when I wasn't married, I had many hours to pray. I mean, sometimes I'll spend hours just pressing into God. And I still do that now every now and then. But the point is, now I have a family. I have 2 kids. I've got a baby. I've got a 6-year-old. And we're all at home. My wife is homeschooling. So life is a bit more chaotic in many ways. And so the way my prayer life looks in this season is very different to what it looked like when I was single. And I believe God appreciates and understands the different seasons of life. A mom who's got 4 kids, and, all under 6 or all under 8, for whatever the age group is, who has a lot to do at home. The way they'll be able to manage their time, they'll have a lot of responsibilities around them. But the key thing is, in the midst of all the responsibilities, that we can still keep God a priority and we can still create space to seek him. That's of absolute necessity. So when I don't feel like praying, I think the key thing is honesty. Be real with God, be real with yourself, and be accountable. So, there are times I'll say to my wife, Rebecca, I'm just not feeling like doing this. And you know what? I'm glad I married someone that would always encourage me. James, come on, it's not about your feelings. And which is why I preach all the time. Basically, she preaches my message back to me. James, it's not about feelings. Come on, we're going to press into God. And I love that. So when I don't feel like praying, I'm absolutely honest with God about it. I say, Lord, I don't feel like doing this, but I know I'm going to do this because I know the power of what takes place. Whether I feel it or not, I know there's power in prayer. So I commit myself to the discipline. So this is I have a desire, but that desire needs to be cultivated. And that desire cultivated over time is going to grow. However, desire without discipline will eventually dissipate. So there has to be a system that you have in your life to cultivate desire. When your desire level is going low, you need to know the things you can turn to that will increase your desire for God. Because prayer really fundamentally starts from the place of desire for God. So the enemy is fighting your appetite. The enemy is fighting in your emotions. He's trying to distract you. And your appetite level is not where it needs to be for God, because oftentimes you've been fellowshipping with lots of other things apart from God. So all you need to do is just evaluate what you're spending your time on and just ask the Holy Spirit to lead you to things, resources, worship, people, whatever it is, things that would be like fire, things that'll be like fuel to your fire, like pouring gasoline on your fire that's flickering, and all of a sudden you just begin to burn. So for example, I know certain people I would listen to. I know certain things I would turn to when I'm in a place of feeling dry. And I often like to say, have you ever been around believers that maybe you go around to see a Christian, or you're hanging out with someone after church, and after you spend time with them, this is what you're thinking: oh my goodness, am I even a Christian? I don't know if that's ever happened to you. Or you spend time with some incredible person and you're like, oh my goodness, Lord, am I even saved? Where their walk with God is challenged you so much. You're like, God, am I? I mean, you know you're a Christian, you know you're saved, but they've so challenged you. You're like, oh gosh, I feel like I need to just, I feel like I'm starting again. See, those are the kind of people, those are the kind of books, those are the kind of things you need to get around you. And we live in a time where, you know, YouTube, we've got so many resources out there. Just put on some worship, put on a preach here or there, something that you know will be like petrol on your flame. Get those things around you when you're feeling dull, and recognize that it's normal that the flesh would war against the spirit, but you have to make a decision to go after the things of the spirit. There's a lot more I can say about that, but I don't know if you want to come back to ask me any more questions on that, Andrew.